Hey everyone, and welcome to the webinar today. So as you can see, I'm going to be speaking about how you can create content that converts leads into sales, into paying clients. And before we get started, I just want to make sure that you take a few seconds to grab a notebook or a notepad or something that you can take notes on, because we're going to cover a lot of really useful information that you can go away and take action on straight away from today. And a lot of the information in this webinar has the power to completely revolutionize the way that you do business. You can actually put your business in a position where you're generating leads on a constant, regular basis through Google, for example, with the content you create. You can also use the content to convert leads into paying clients, and you can use the content on social media to generate even more leads. So there's huge amounts of benefits that come from creating content. It's really the key to everything that you do with marketing your business these days. And just before we start, a lot of the content that I've created in this training, it's also based, I just want to let you know, it's also based on this book here, which is They Ask You Answer. So if you haven't yet read this book, I highly recommend that you check it out on Amazon or just Google it and get yourself a copy. And if you're listening to the live version of this webinar, I'll be giving away a free copy of this book. To those that stay on the end, you'll be entered into the prize draw. So I'll give you the details on how you can do that. That's for everyone that stays till the end. And even if you don't win the book, I still recommend that you grab a copy on Amazon or something and read it, because this has the power to completely change your business. And when we recommend this to clients, as soon as they're finished reading it, they finally say, oh wow, now I understand it. That the penny sort of drops and they get the bigger picture as to how content helps you market your business and helps you generate more sales from it as well. And there's lots of really good case studies in there and real life examples. So what I'm going to do now in this presentation is really give you my thoughts and my experience and what I have seen happen with the power of content, and also educate you as to how you can use content as well. So without further ado, I'm going to get started. I'm going to share my screen and go through the presentation. And if you do have any questions, just enter those into the chat box. And if you're listening to the recording, then there will still be a place where you can most likely leave a comment. And if you have any questions, if it's not answered in this training, you can just leave a comment and then I'll get back to you and I'll be able to answer your question as well. So I'm just going to share my screen now and we can get started. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. How to create content that converts leads into sales. This is the title. And just to recap what you are going to learn in this training. So lesson 1 will be about how to create content that converts leads into sales, and what is the best content to create in order to do that. Because it's not just about creating any type of content. There's certain types of content that are way more successful than others, and I'll be showing you exactly what that is. Lesson 2 is how to create content that people actually want to consume. So people actually want to read, watch, and listen to this content. And a lot of the time I see people creating content just for the sake of creating content, but no one ever reads it and no one ever consumes it. So you want to make sure that people are consuming your content in the same way that right now you are consuming this content that I've created, this webinar. You want to make sure that your potential clients and clients also consume your own content. And in lesson 3, I'll be going through how to optimize your content for search engines so that you can generate leads for free from Google. So this is a really, really powerful one, because once you have all this amazing content on your website, you can use that same content to help you get free traffic and free leads and free customers, all from Google, without doing any paid advertising or any pay-per-click or anything like that. It's all free. Just by investing now in creating content, and it can pay dividends for your business for many, many, many years in the future. I know one of my clients in particular, 90% of their business all comes from Google, and it's from content they've created many years ago. So it has huge, huge potential. So let's start with lesson 1. So lesson 1 is how content converts leads into sales. So really, this is all to do with one thing. And that thing is called the 0 moment of truth. So if you go to Google and you search for 0 moment of truth, you'll find this video from Google. I won't play it now, but it's only about 1 minute and 40 seconds long, so you can do this after the webinar maybe in your own time. And it just goes through in a little bit more detail as to what this means, but I'll give you an overview now on this webinar. And it's a really, really interesting study It was conducted by Google, and also a few other people have also now conducted their own similar study. And what they've found is that 70% of the buying decision is made before someone actually contacts you to buy. Okay, so just think about that for a second, okay? 70% of the buying decision is made before someone contacts you to buy your services or to buy something from you. So if you have any sales calls with your potential clients, they've already made 70% of the buying decision before you have that call, which is really, really interesting. So your job basically on that call in an ideal world is not to mess it up and answer any other questions they might have that you haven't already answered. So why is that? Why is 70% of the buying decision made before someone contacts you? Well, think about how you buy something. Now, let's say you're looking to buy a car and you go to Google and you research it. And let's say that, there's a few things in particular that you want to have this car to have. So you search for the things that you want. So let's say if you're looking for a family car that's safe, you might go to Google and search for the best safe family car. Or if you're looking for a car that's fast and just looks really good, then you might go to Google and go for something like, the best looking cars of 2018 or, something along those lines. And then when you find some cars you search for, and let's say you're looking for that safe family car and you find a few models, you might then do comparisons. You might say, okay, so how does this car model compare to that car model? And you might type that into Google and see what comes up. And then when you find a car, you look for potential problems. What potential problems does this car have? You look for reviews, you look for things around the price, how much does it cost? What is the best price? How much should you expect to pay for it? Then you also search for where to actually buy this. So you basically go to Google and you do your research, right? And then finally, after doing all the research, you know what car you want. And you've already made 70% of the buying decision. And you know which places are the best place to buy the car from as well, because again, you've gone to Google and you've done the research. So all you then need to do is go to maybe a car dealership, or if you're buying a car from someone else, you just need to speak to that person or speak to the person that's selling the car just to finalize the sale and answer any other final questions. Okay, but you've already made 70% of the buying decision. Okay, you've already done all the research. You've already spent all the time in figuring out what is the best car for you. And it's not just with cars. This is how people buy pretty much anything these days. It doesn't matter what kind of business you have, whether it's B2C, B2B, because really all businesses are, for other people. And, it doesn't matter what kind of business you have, but people are buying things from other people. And people do research before they buy something, even in a B2B space. And, most of my clients are in the B2B space. So this is just how people buy things in this day and age. And also what's worth mentioning is that the more expensive something is, the more research people tend to do. So for example, if you are buying some groceries, you might take the risk and spend, £5 or $5 to try something new. But if you're buying something like a house, you're going to do a lot more research before making that purchase. So depending on how much it is that you're looking to spend on something, it will also determine how much research you do. Now, if you're like a lot of my clients and you sell, a professional service, some sort of business service where, it's not something cheap like, where you're buying groceries or something like that, but, you're selling something that's a little bit more higher priced, then people are definitely going to want to be doing their research, and you're going to have to build up a lot of trust before people buy anything from you. So why am I telling you all this? Well, the people that want to buy what you sell do exactly the same as what you do when you're looking to buy something, okay? They do their research. And the problem is that most businesses do not answer their clients' questions. So your clients right now have questions about your business. They have questions about things like, how much does it cost? And things like, how well does it work? Or, how does this compare to something else? Or, it could be anything, but they definitely have questions. And I know they have questions because all you have to do is have a look at one of your most recent sales calls with a potential client, and I can almost guarantee you that they were asking you questions, okay? And those questions, you need to think, am I actually answering those questions anywhere on my website? So people do research on competitor websites as well. When people go to Google and they do research, they're not guaranteed to land on your website. So chances are they could definitely land on a competitor website, someone that does something very similar to you. So one of the reasons you want to be creating content is so that people land on your website. Because if they go to someone else's website, you could potentially lose the client. If they get all the information and if they get all the content from somewhere else and not from you, who do you think they're going to go with? The one that really helped them answer all of their questions, or someone that didn't help answer any of their questions, right? So do you see the comparison there? You do not want to lose the client, and you want them to come to you as the trusted source for when it comes to whatever it is that you sell and whatever it is that you do in your business. So what can you do instead so that you don't lose the client? Well, all you need to do is educate your potential clients. Become a teacher. Help your potential clients and even your existing clients. But it's all about education. And answer every question you can think of. So what are some of the questions they might be asking? And what are some of the questions they might be searching for on Google? Well, here are the 5 main topics. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, this is actually not just what I've found. It is also what many hundreds of different businesses have found, which you can learn a little bit more about in that book I spoke of in the beginning. And what essentially all of us have found is that when it comes to people searching for things on Google, there's 5 main things that people search for. And as we go through these 5 main things, you'll probably be able to relate to a lot of these yourself, because chances are you've also used the same keyword phrases when you're searching for something, when you're looking to buy something on Google. And it's just really helping you understand that other people, the people that want to work with you, also do the same thing. They search on Google and search for things in exactly the same way that you search for things too. So what are these 5 main topics? So the first thing is best of. So any content that has the words best in it. And the reason for that is that people go to Google and they type in, what is the best so-and-so, or the best way to do so-and-so. Okay, people use the keyword best a lot, right? People use it a lot on Google. And if you have content on your website that answers that question, if you have content on your website that actually talks about things to do with what is the best, so-and-so, whatever it could be that you do in your business and in your industry, you can start to rank higher for these kinds of keywords. And these are things that chances are your competitors are probably not even doing or not even thinking about. But just you doing one, let alone all 5 of these things, will give you a huge advantage over everyone else. So best of content and articles are one of the things you definitely want to start creating content on and around on your website. The second thing is how to and problems that people may face. So I'll give you an example with my own business. So, we do social media lead generation, and, we don't just say, hey, this is what we do, but we answer people's problems and questions around how social media works. So I've created content, and you've probably seen some of this content yourself. I've created content on how to generate leads using Twitter, or how to generate leads using Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it might be. I've gone through so many different types of articles and videos and podcasts, and basically I've gone through so many different types of problems that people have with social media, and I've answered all of those questions. Well, maybe not all of them, because there's so many of them, but I'm doing my best to answer as many as I can, and every single week I'm answering more questions again and again in the form of content. So how to and problem related content is another really big one that, a lot of the time you can find most of your content in the how to space. So if you start thinking about what problems your potential clients have and you answer those problems in the form of content on your website, again, you're going to have a massive advantage compared to everyone else. The third thing is articles and content to do with the price and cost. Now, a lot of the times people don't like to speak about things to do with how much something costs. But if you think about how you would do research on how, what you would do if you're looking to buy something, you will want to know how much something costs. And I would strongly, strongly encourage you to talk about pricing on your website. Either have your prices there on your website, or at least talk about it and face the issue head on. And if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, but my price varies so much, it really depends on exactly what it is that they need. That's okay. I'm not telling you to specifically say exactly what the price will be if you can't actually do that. But what I am saying is at least talk about it. Give people a guide, a rough idea of what it will cost and what affects the price, and educate them again as to what they should be expecting to pay as well if they want to get good quality of service, or what they should expect to pay for what it is that you do in your industry as well. So price and cost related articles and content is a very, very important one. The fourth one is comparison and versus articles. So anything to do with comparing something to something else. So I'll give you an example. Again, in my industry, some of the articles that I've written recently have been, which is better, Facebook versus LinkedIn, or Twitter versus Instagram, or actually one I wrote recently a few weeks ago was, what is better, social media versus Google PPC, so Google pay-per-click. So I've talked about these things because that's what people are searching for. So people are searching for in Google, when they're looking to get more leads and more clients, they're searching for things like social media versus Google, or Google pay-per-click versus paid advertising on the social media, or Facebook versus LinkedIn. People are always looking to compare because they want to make the best decision and do what's going to be best for them and their business. So again, in your own industry, think about what kind of things would people be comparing in what it is that you do, and what would they be searching for on Google that you can help answer that question that they may be searching for. So comparison and versus articles is another really, really powerful one. And then finally, we have reviews and ratings. So again, whenever you're looking to buy for something, a lot of the time you're going to look for reviews and ratings. Now, in the professional services industry, which is what a lot of our clients work with, this is probably actually one of the least types of content that people actually search for. It doesn't tend to be so much reviews as the keyword, but what they really do search for is things like case studies and examples. So if you have any case studies and examples that you can share, so people can actually see, kind of like they can see reviews of how it actually works, again, that can go a really long way in helping your potential clients to actually work with you. So if you actually want to get started and start creating content around these 5 different areas, these are some of the ways I recommend you get started. So 3 ways to start. So number 1, write a list of every question a client has ever asked you. And don't just write this list once, but whenever you are speaking to potential clients or even existing clients, add to that list. You want to have a list that you always update with questions that people are asking you. And again, just to specify, not just any people, but people who are your clients and potential clients. You want to answer their questions, okay? So the easiest way you can do that is write a list. And I've found with myself and also my clients that the ones that get the best results with content are those that answer specific questions that clients or potential clients have asked. Which is why whenever someone asks me a question, I always note it down, and then I either answer it right there and then, or I create a piece of content that will answer it at some point in the future. Okay, so that's a really, really important one. Write a list of all the questions your clients ask you. The second one is use Google Predictive Search. So you may have seen this already, and when you go to Google and you start typing in something in Google, it will actually suggest what you are most likely to be typing in next. And what Google Predictive Search does is it will tell you what people are actually searching for. So if I go to Google and type in social media, Google will also suggest other things that people are typing in related to social media. So you can go to Google and type in your industry, type in what you do, and then see what Google suggests you should search for. And these are the kind of terms that people are actually looking for in real time. And these are the kind of things that would be good for you to write content on. So that's just another really easy way for you to come up with content ideas. And then the third tool that I would use is a tool called Answer the Public. So if you go to Google and type in Answer the Public, you'll go to this website. It has a picture of a scary looking man on the front, so that's how you know you found the right place. And you just type in your industry, what it is that you do, and it will give you a list of around 100 different pieces of content around different questions that people will ask around your industry and what it is that you do, that again you can use as content ideas. So even just this website on its own will give you like 100 different things that you can start writing and talking about on your website. So really, really useful tool, Answer the Public. So these are just 3 ways that you can start to figure out what it is that your clients are actually looking for on Google and what it is that they're searching for. Okay, so that you can start to create that content. And when you create that content, remember, this isn't just to generate leads from Google, but this is content that you can then use to educate your leads, the leads that you've already generated from word of mouth, from referrals, from anywhere else, from social media even. You can use this content to educate them and to help them learn about what it is that you do and become a trusted source in your industry. Okay, so really, really important that you create this content, not just to generate leads, but also to convert these leads into clients by educating your potential clients. So what I want you to do now is create this list and write a new article on your website answering it each week or each month. And the more content you create and the more rapidly you create this content, the faster you'll get results. So if you can only create content each month, that's fine. Just know that your results will be a little bit slower compared to if you are able to create content every week. Okay, so depending on how fast you want to get results from Google, that will depend on how quickly you publish new content on your website. So by creating this content, people who consume your content will be ready to buy. You're going to be actually doing the selling as, you're going to be selling to them as part of the content that you create. And the content isn't salesy or anything like that, but the content, because it provides so much value and trust, the content does the selling for you and you don't have to actually do that. So in a way, you're actually selling to people while you're sleeping, because people can be reading your content at any time of the day, whether you're there or not, and they can be learning about you and what it is that you do. So at the end of this webinar, I will also show you how you can actually track what kind of results you're getting from the content that you create. Okay, so when you're creating content and when you're getting it in front of people, I can show you how that content has actually helped you generate leads and also helped you convert those leads into actual sales. So you can actually track this, believe it or not. And I've got a bonus lesson at the end of this webinar that will show you exactly how to do that. And it's really easy to do once you know how. So let's move on to lesson 2. So lesson 2 is how to create content that people actually read or people actually consume. So here are a few tips that I recommend that you keep in mind. Number 1 is be human or be yourself. So actually talk to people as if you would be talking to your potential clients. Okay, you don't have to, speak in this super professional way, but you do want to have the right voice, the voice that matches your branding, the voice that matches who you are, and the voice that will resonate and also match your potential clients. Okay, so the voice is really, really important. And you also want to make the content easy to read and consume. So let me just share my screen and show you an example of this. So I'm going to go to my website here. So you can see our blog here. We've got lots and lots of different content. As I mentioned earlier, we've got that one on Google versus social media. We've got Facebook versus LinkedIn. We've got all these comparison articles. But what I want to do is show you how you can create content that people will actually consume when you have it on your website. So let me just actually load up this one as an example. This is actually a really short article. It's more of a video than an article, but it still has the same principle. So what you want to keep in mind is, first of all, have a nice, simple and clear title. As you can see here, we have the title here. Then you want to have either an image or a video, which breaks up the text. Then you want to have the text here as well. And then you want to also highlight any particular areas of interest. So, I've got this in bold here. I've also got this little element here, which just makes this stick out, which is like a top tip. And then I've also got an integration with my podcast here, so there's another format and way that people can listen to it. So what I essentially am doing, just so you can see my thought process, is I want to break up the content. I want to have a title, I want to have an image, then I want to have some text, then I want to have something else, or maybe another heading, and then some more text, and then something else. I want to make it varied and dynamic and balanced. The worst thing you can do is just have a title and then loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of text and nothing else, right? So you want to just make the content stand out a little bit more so that people are able to consume it. So let's just look at this article, which is a little bit longer, as another example. So this is like a proper article. So here again we have the title, we have the image, then we've got some bullet points, and then we have a heading, and then we have more text and a few more, smaller headings in bold, then another heading, then more text, then bullet points. And, essentially, you see that we have this pattern of headings and text and, things in bold, and then, maybe some lists or bullet points and things like that. And the reason we create content like this and we have it in this layout is because people actually don't tend to read content on websites in the same way that you would read content on a book. So most of the time when you're reading content on a website, you're going to have a look at the content, and then you're going to scroll down and you're going to have a look at the headings, and you're going to have a look at the things that stick out to you, and you're only really going to scan through the article and really have a look and make a decision as to whether you think it's worth reading or not. And if you just have a massive wall of text without these headings and things in bold and images and stuff like that, there's a much lower chance that people are actually going to read the whole article. But if people go to this article, they scan through it, and it looks like it's talking about all the right things, then they're going to go back up, and then they're actually going to read the parts that look interesting to them. So if you want people consuming your content, what I'm trying to say is make sure that you break it up and you don't just have text on its own, but you also have different headings, images, bullet points, and things that you can do to make the content stand out and make it a little bit more unique. Okay, so yeah, going back to this. Hopefully that gives you an example of how you can actually get your content to stand out and actually get your content read by more people when they go to your blog and when they go to your website. So that moves us on to lesson 3. Now, lesson 3 is how to optimize your content for search engines and how you can generate leads from Google. So what you want to do is, first of all, find out what people are actually searching for on Google. Okay, so I mentioned earlier you can use things like Google Predictive Search, which will help you do that. And then what you want to also do is create content regularly. As I mentioned earlier, you want to create content on a regular basis, because the more content you create, the quicker results that you'll actually get. And then once you have a blog post, once you have content up and running, you also want to optimize the SEO metadata. So this is some code in the back of your website. It's kind of like hidden behind the scenes, something that Google reads, and you want to make sure that your SEO metadata isn't left blank and isn't empty, and you want to make sure that it tells Google what your blog is about. So most popular content management systems have a way for you to edit the metadata of your pages of your website. And if you're using WordPress, then you can also install a plugin called Yoast SEO, which will allow you to do that as well. And actually, if you need more tips on this, let me just go back to my blog. Again, I've actually written an article on this. If you just go to my search box on my website and type in metadata, you'll see this article here that I've written on how to optimize your website's SEO metadata and tags. And if you go through this, it will take you step by step how you can actually do that. And I also have a video that I've recorded inside this article that shows you how to do that. So that, that's just one simple thing that you can do to help you optimize your content on your website a little bit more, to help you rank more. And one of the main things, though, that will really help you determine how well you rank is if you're persistent and patient with the content. So you can't just create content once, leave it, and then never do anything else. It has to be something that you are consistent in and that you're patient in as well, because depending on how competitive your industry and your market is and who you're looking to target, that will also depend how long it takes for you to rank and how much content you're going to have to start creating out there to start ranking for that different content. And one of the other things that determine your rankings are also links from other websites that link back to your website. So you might be thinking, how can I get other websites to link back to me? Well, one of the easiest ways you can do that is through guest blogging on other websites. So this is something I've actually started to do a lot more this year. And since doing it, again, I've seen how my rankings have been increasing. So guest blogging is just basically writing content on other people's websites, and then you have a link going back to your website so they can learn a little bit more about what you do as well. So one of the easiest ways you can start guest blogging is, apart from just reaching out to people that are in similar industries to you and share a similar target audience, is also get involved in communities where people are in the same industry as you. So for example, I do marketing, so I also am involved in communities on Facebook and on LinkedIn which are around marketing. And a lot of the times, these businesses are not actually direct competitors. There's a lot of businesses that do things in marketing that we don't actually do. And we can actually help each other, and we can actually, write content on each other's websites. We can promote each other's content, all of which basically in Google's eyes gives you more votes going back to your website and helps you rank higher on Google. So guest blogging is just another thing that you can do to help you rank a little bit higher on Google by getting links and citations from other websites going to your websites. And what you can also do is promote your content on social media. So another mistake I see actually happen quite a lot is that a lot of people spend so much time creating content, but then no one ever sees it, and it doesn't ever get in front of anyone. So as a minimum, you want to be using social media to just get your content out there in front of people. And you can do this for free just by sharing links to your content on all your social media channels, or you can also spend a little bit of money on paid advertising to get your content in front of people. And if you really want to get even better results, you can also use social media to generate leads with the content that you've created. And that's something that we do a lot of. And I've got a lot of training on this particular subject, which is lead generation on social media. And if you've been to any of my other trainings about how to generate leads on social media, you'll see that a lot of what determines the leads that you generate is related to the content that you create and if it's a good match for who you're targeting. So content, it's not just about Google, it's not just about getting the word out there, it's also about helping you generate leads, and you can do that through social media too. So that's really, really cool. So as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm also going to have a bonus lesson, and this bonus lesson is going to be how you can track your results. So how you can see how well you're actually performing with the content that you create. Because sometimes if you're creating content and you're not really sure what kind of results you're getting, it can sometimes be a little bit, I don't know the word, but maybe disheartening to see that you're creating all this content, but you're not really sure how it's affecting your business. So I think it's really important that once you start to create content that you track your results so you can see the impact that the content is actually making on your business. So one of the easiest ways that you can track your results with the content that you create is install this tool called Hubspot Marketing. So if you go to Google and you just Google Hubspot Marketing, you can actually install this for free on your website. So they have different paid plans as well, but you can just get started with a free plan and it does exactly what you need it to do. And just install that on your website. And it's really easy to install. It's just some code that you have to copy and paste on your website. And if you have like a web designer or developer or someone like that, they can really easily just copy and paste this code on your website, and then your HubSpot marketing dashboard will be up and running. And then what this tool does is it notifies you whenever someone contacts you through your website. So if you have a form, and it works on any form on your website, and it works automatically. So once you install this code and you've installed it, every form that someone fills in on your website, you'll be notified, and you'll get a notification and an email come through saying that they've filled in this form. And you probably already get notified that someone has filled in a form on your website. But the difference with this tool is that when someone fills in a form and you get notified that they filled in this form, it actually tells you how they found your website before they filled in the form, and it tells you what content they visited on your website before and also after they filled in that form, which is very, very, very powerful. So here's a quick example. So on our website, we have a form, which is the Work With Us form. So every time someone applies to work with us and sign up as a client, they will have to click on this button here, and then they'll be shown a form like this. And then every time someone fills out a form, apart from the notification that gets sent to me that, with the details of the form, I also get a notification from HubSpot that tells me exactly, as you can see here, they tell me exactly how this lead found my website in the first place. So we can see here, this is an example of someone that filled in the form recently. I can see that he actually found my website through organic search, so on Google. And you can actually see this was about a week ago from the date here. And so he found me through Google. And what I can actually do is I can also see all the different pages of my website that he visited. So let me just start here at the top. So I can see at 6:56 a.m. he landed on this page, then he went to this page, then he went to this page, then he looked at our packages, then he went to this page, then he looked at our About Us page, and then he actually looked at the page About Me to learn a little bit more about me, which is really, really interesting. And it gives you all of this insight so you can actually see what content that you've created that has helped you, number one, rank higher on Google, and has helped you build up enough trust with the leads so that they actually work with you and they actually reach out to you, which is really, really powerful. And what I do now is every time we generate new leads on our website, I have a look and see where did they come from. Is that social media? Is it Google? Is it a referral? Is it something else? I have a look at what content, what pages they're looking at on my website. And then I have a look and see, not only what pages they've been on my website, but how many pages they've also visited in total. And again, HubSpot will actually tell you how many different times, different days they visit your website and how many pages in total they visit. So I can see from this lead, they visited my website 3 times. And overall, during those 3 times they visited my website, they viewed 17 pages. Okay, and this is really good insights from me, and even for you if you install this as well to track the results in your own website. Because what I found, and not just myself but other people that also use HubSpot, what they found too is that whenever people visit multiple pages on your website, there's a much higher chance that they actually buy from you. And what you want to do is you want to basically get people visiting as many pages as possible of your website, because every time they visit a new page, every time they read more content on that page or on that blog or whatever it is, it's going to build up trust with your leads, okay? Which is huge, which is so important and so powerful. Okay, you want to build up as much trust as you can, because when you then have that sales call and when you have that initial meeting with the potential client, it's going to be so much easier for them to be able to work with you and want to work with you, because they've already, your website and your content has already done most of the selling for you. So it's just so powerful. I can't emphasize that enough. But if you don't have enough content, if you don't have enough pages on your website, then there's not much people can really do to learn a little bit more about what it is that you do and how you work and what are your packages and how much does it cost and what are the problems and how can you fix those problems, and everything we've talked about earlier in this training. You want to be answering as much of those questions as you can all on your website. Okay, so that people can be educated before they contact you, and then when they do contact you, they're qualified and the right kind of person to want to work with you as well. So one of the other tools you can use apart from HubSpot, which you might actually already be using, but I can probably bet that you're actually not using it as much as you probably could be, is Google Analytics. So in Google Analytics, if you go to the traffic sources section and then click on landing pages inside this tool, you can actually see what pages people are landing on, and you can actually see what are the top pages that people are landing on from Google. So here, this is just a snapshot of all the different pages that people are landing on, and this is traffic that's only coming from Google. And it allows me to see what is the best performing content that I have. So I can see here that most of the people that find my website through Google, they're going to this blog article here, which is about LinkedIn, how to generate leads on LinkedIn. Then the next blog article that's generating traffic is this one that's about how being consistent in marketing is important. Then we have one on Facebook. Then we have one on how to increase Twitter engagement. Then we have one on Facebook ads versus LinkedIn. And it goes on and on and on with different content. And you can see there's actually 134 134 different pages of content that I've created. And most of this content is all blog posts. You can see here that, everything here, apart from this link here, which is number 2, which is the homepage, everything else is content from our blog. So imagine I wasn't creating any content. Imagine I had no blog, and imagine, I wasn't creating content on a regular basis. I would be missing out on all this traffic, on these hundreds of different pages of traffic that I'm getting for free from Google. Okay, because if I didn't have all this content, I wouldn't be ranking anywhere for any of this. So what you want to do is, once you start to create content on a regular basis, have a look at Google Analytics and have a look at what kind of pages are generating the most traffic organically from Google. And that will also give you an idea as to what kind of content your audience are also interested in. So I can see things around Facebook ads and budgeting for Facebook ads, and also things to do with being consistent in your marketing, and things to do with LinkedIn are things that people at the moment in my audience are very interested in. Okay, and we actually, this LinkedIn article that I created, it was actually created like a year ago. Pretty much almost every week we're getting new leads and sales inquiries just from this article alone, which is very, very powerful. Okay, so again, I want to encourage you to create content on a regular basis and then track the results and see what kind of content is ranking the most, what kind of content is getting the most traffic from Google, because that gives you an idea and an indication as to how well this content is performing to help you generate more leads and more sales. And when you're tracking it not just through Google Analytics but also through HubSpot, you can actually see exactly the different pages of content that people have been reading before they actually click on a button to fill out a form and actually work with you. So this is just tremendous, really powerful data that you can then use, and it's all at your disposal, and it's all free. That you can also use all of these tools for free. You don't have to pay anything, and you can get all of this data at your hands, which is really, really cool. And yeah, as I mentioned, you can see here in this screenshot that there's 134 different pages, that we are actually ranking for. And 134 pages, actually, to be honest with you, is still very small. I want to get this into the thousands, and that's why I'm creating more and more content, creating as much content as I can, because I know the more pages I create on my website and the more blog posts I create on my website, the more chances are that I have of ranking for different keywords and different terms. So the more pages you create, the more keywords you rank for, and hopefully now you can start to see the power that creating content on a regular basis has. Okay, and it really is something that's so powerful. And I've really only scratched the surface with this, because there's still so much more that you can do with content. And I've touched on this earlier, but as I mentioned, you can use content to generate leads on social media, which is a massive thing that I talk a lot about. And you can use content to follow up with your leads via email marketing or through retargeting on social media as well. And you can also use content in and before your sales calls. So whenever I have a call with a potential client, I send them links to content that answers questions that they've spoken to me about, or issues that they might be wondering before the sales call. And I send them links to videos and articles and blogs and things that actually answer some of the most common questions that people ask on the sales calls that I have. I already answer those questions inside of the content that I've created, and I send it to them in an email so that their question is already answered. And then all I then need to do in the sales call is just answer any other questions that's specific to them that I haven't yet answered on my website. And most of the time when people ask me questions in these sales calls, I'm taking notes and writing down the questions that they ask, so I can then answer it in the future on my website as well, so that in the future, what I want to happen is eventually pretty much any question that someone could ask about doing social media and generating leads on social media and creating content and digital marketing, I want to have an answer to that question on my website that I can send people to. So there's so many things that you can do with creating content. So what I'd like to encourage you now to think about is, how are you actually going to get this stuff done and get this implemented? Okay, and if you need help with implementation, then that's pretty much what we do. So our business model is teach for free and then charge for implementation. So we are more than happy to give you all of this information and all of this content for free, which a lot of people charge a lot of money for. And I'm more than happy for you to get access to this information for free. But if you need extra help, if you need actually someone to sort of hold your hand and guide you through exactly what kind of content to create and what is the best content to create for you and your business, and if you need help with getting that content up and running and optimized for search engines and getting it promoted on social media and getting it in front of people to generate leads, if you need help with actually getting that stuff done, and you need it actually to be implemented, then that's where we come in, and that's where we can help you with that as well. So if you are interested in implementation, if you are interested in getting this stuff done for you, then what I recommend that you do is go to my website, skylinesocial.com/apply. Okay, or just go to skylinesocial.com and then click on the Work With Us button at the top right of the page. And then you'll go to the form that I showed you earlier. And if you fill in that form, on the next page, you'll be able to schedule a meeting with me automatically straight into my calendar. And then we can have a chat and learn a little bit more about what it is that you're looking to do. And actually, just to, again, share my screen, one of the things that I recommend that you do is check, do your research, of course, and, check out our own website and see what we're doing with the content. You'll see that we have loads of free resources. You'll see that we have a podcast. We've got videos, lots of different articles, because we really do practice what we preach. And one of the things I also suggest you look at is step 1, which is creating this plan. Because before we jump into lead generation or creating content or helping you with creating content or anything like that, what we actually do with clients is help them with this social strategy. So what we do is we create a blueprint for you to actually succeed on social media. And what we do is we essentially create a marketing and sales funnel, and there's a video on this page which you can just click and play in your own time, which goes through how that works. It's not very long, it's only about 6 minutes long, and it goes through how to create a marketing and sales funnel and how it works and how you can create one. And essentially what we do is we create this marketing and sales funnel for you, and then we map everything out as to what you need to do each month, what kind of content you need to create, what kind of social media channels you need to be active on, what are the best social media channels where your target audience are using. We basically map everything out for you so that you can then start to generate leads, okay, and just make it as easy as possible for you. And we also have pricing as well. All of our pricing is on our website, so you can check that out. We're very, very transparent with that kind of stuff. And yeah, just have a look at what we're doing, and just copy what we're doing and learn from what we've done over the years, which has been working really well. And again, if you need help with implementation, just go to our website, click on Work With Us, where you'll be taken to the apply page, and then we can arrange a call and we can actually go through this together and go through your own business and work out what would be the best content to create and how we can help you generate more leads and more clients from your website, from your content marketing, from your emails, from your social media, from everything that you're doing with your digital marketing, which is really exciting and really cool. So other than that, I'm just going to go back to the presentation and wrap it up. So yeah, if you do want more information and you want to work with us, just go to skylinesocial.com/apply and you'll get more information and we can schedule a call. But in the meantime, if you do have any more questions about social media, and as you've probably seen, a large part of what I do is answer people's questions around social media and content marketing and things like that. So if you have any questions around that, just let me know. Leave a comment or leave a message in the chat box if you're listening to this live. And then what I'll do is I will, if I haven't already created some content that answers that question, I will then go ahead and create content that answers your question, either in the form of an article, a video, or a podcast. So hopefully, all of this has been really helpful for you, and I strongly encourage you to go ahead and start creating content. And I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar that I'll also be giving away a free copy of that book, which is They Ask You Answer. So if you want to get your hands on that copy, all you need to do is go to the chat box right now and just leave a comment saying free book. And then what I'll do is I'll enter everyone that leaves a comment saying free book in the chat box. I'll enter them into a prize draw, and then I'll select one at random and send you over a copy of the book for you to have a read. And I'll let you know who actually is the winner of that by this weekend. So by Sunday by Sunday at the end of this week. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And thanks a lot for taking the time to be on this training today. And if you do need anything else, please do not hesitate to ask me. I'm here to help you. I'm here to serve you. And again, thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'll speak to you all soon.